You better wait here, Dro. If any more steam gets on that outfit, you won't have a place to pin your badge. Well, you would have a place, but it would be painful.
Trust, Ian, it's an interesting concept, isn't it?
It's tricky, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, let's not think about it. How are you, you piping hot slime ball?
Piping hot.
Interesting episode this week. Did you recognise the theme or the plot at all?
Well, I kind of guessed it from the title. I've not watched Magnum Force, but...
Have you seen any of the Dirty Harry movies?
No, I've got the first one recorded on my telly to watch at some stage, but I've not got around to it yet.
You should watch it. It is a classic.
Even with them being undermined by this series.
Oh, they're being homaged.
Really?
Yeah.
I worry about because Clint Eastwood turned out to be a raving lunatic in his old age.
Yeah, I mean, his character, even at the time, wasn't the most sympathetic.
Right. Oh, maybe give it a watch then.
I think perhaps back in the day, you were meant to be more empathetic towards that character. These days, I think a lot of people would enjoy it, but not for perhaps the reason a lot of people did initially.
Okay.
But yeah, you should definitely give it a watch. Before you do that, why don't we have a chat about this week's episode, Magnum Farce?
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one.
It was.
I think I said last week or the week before that we're running along or ticking along at a higher level. I mean, I was fairly charitable in the podcast, but the first few episodes weren't as good as the ones subsequent.
Yeah, I think they found their footing, and you need to adapt to the style, to the humour.
It's possibly that as well, yeah.
Yeah,
and I think maybe the actors as well getting comfortable with their characters because, I mean, even Trunk, who's a bit of a caricature, isn't as much as he was at the start of the show.
Mm-hmm. But we discussed that at the time. I think you have to establish these character traits, and perhaps it does over-egg it slightly until you can then get into a nicer, sort of smoother rhythm.
And it could be that these episodes are benefiting from that having come before.
I think so. Anyway, how do we normally commence?
Normally we just kind of look at the microphones and talk.
But before we do that, you normally give us a summary.
I do that.
Crack on then.
In Magnum Farce, Hammer and Duro are assigned to identify a group of vigilantes who are killing recently released criminals. When the perpetrators turn out to be police officers, Hammer is tasked with infiltrating the group. Meanwhile, his antagonistic relationship with the new DA Evelyn Collins is developing. When the two situations reach simultaneous climax, can Sledge put a stop to the killings, or will he miss his mark?
Thank you, Ian. A magnificent summary rather than a farcical one.
I hope it wasn't farcical. Not like episodes 1 and 2.
No, you've certainly got yourself back up to speed. Okay, so we begin on a street, don't we?
Yeah, it's a fairly dramatic opening, isn't it?
Describe it.
We start off with a car being pulled over by police and the driver's told he's got a broken tail light.
Mm-hmm.
He's fairly sarcastic with the police. I don't think he sees this as a significant offence.
Yeah, he asks if he's going to get a warning.
And he's told he is. A warning shot.
What happens?
He's shot dead.
And then what does the cop do?
I think he makes a sarcastic comment and leaves, doesn't he?
Well, he leaves by putting a body on board sign in the back
yes,
window.
on the back window, yes.
As you said earlier, you haven't seen Magnum Force, but that's pretty much how that movie begins.
Right.
Without the body on board sign, of course.
That's just taking it to the extreme.
From the street, we head over to Sledge's apartment, and we see him drying his hair with his holster and towel on.
Did you like his hairdryer?
I didn't notice it. What was it?
Well, to me, it looked very gun-like. I don't know if it was designed that way or if it's just the way he was holding it, but he was using a hairdryer that looked a lot like a gun to me.
It would certainly fit with his character. I'll need to go and review that again.
It could just be I have guns in the mind, but that was the impression I got. He seems quite pleased to hear about this killing.
Yes, certainly in the first part of this episode, he on several occasions makes it clear that he doesn't see the vigilante-ism to be a huge problem, certainly not one that the police should be focusing all their attentions on.
Yeah, I mean, no one complains when Batman does it.
Yeah, don't get me started on that, Ian. You know that I've had several, shall we say, discussions with different people about what makes a superhero, and I often say that if Batman can be considered a superhero, so can Charles Bronson in Death Wish.
Okay.
A vigilante, yeah, that's all he is.
Yeah.
Batman's just got lots of money.
He's got lots of money and lots of sort of obsession. He's a bit paranoid.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not go down that route.
We get to the precinct,
Mm-hmm.
where we always end up at one stage or another.
And there is a harassed-looking woman. She's at the front desk, demanding to be seen.
She is. She's not getting treated very kindly.
She demands to know what Sledge... I think the other two cops give her fake names.
They do.
And she demands to know what Sledge's name is. And she obviously doesn't believe this when he tells her.
Yeah, it's not the first time the show has referred to his name as being ridiculous.
Well, you'd mentioned that before, Ian. I think you'd said that in one episode it was the first time that in this universe the name Sledgehammer is...
Yeah, it was the bank manager when there was the hostage situation. He was commenting on it.
So she has decided to follow Sledge to make sure she is given some attention, and he's quite happy for her to tag along behind him.
Yeah, I mean, she hears him getting called in to see the captain, so she assumes he's going straight there.
But where does he go?
She takes him to the gents.
Now, I think, I could be wrong, but I think that very act is replicated in Lethal Weapon Part 3, or maybe Part 2. I think perhaps Part 3, with Rene Russo.
Talking of Lethal Weapon, I'm told there's a TV show of it and getting good reviews just recently underway.
Yeah, I just heard about that the other day. I've not read any reviews yet, but I'd certainly be interested. Lethal Weapon is one of my favourite movie series. Anyway, we're in Trunk's office, and we hear him apologise to Ms. Collins, the new DA, we find out.
Absolutely.
She makes her views in anger all too apparent.
There's an overgrown adolescent out there in a whoopee suit playing schoolboy pranks when someone asked for directions. This cretin walked me into the men's room.
Hey, Captain, Hitler's widow is out there looking for you. Oh, I see you found him.
Inspector Sledgehammer. This is District Attorney Evelyn Collins.
Oh, that's all we need, a woman DA? Whew. What'd you do with your perfume? Spray it on with a crop duster?
Whew. Hammer, please.
Oh, you must admit.
Perhaps we should get down to business, Miss Collins.
That's Ms.
The district attorney is here because in the last month, 3 known criminals released by the courts have been gunned down, apparently by vigilantes.
So?
We have a serious problem here.
Why, did some of them live?
You're not helping, Hammer. Each of the vigilantes' victims was killed within 1 day of exoneration. Drug pusher Rudy Mednick, released this morning, seems to be the next logical victim in their pattern.
How did he beat the rap again?
That's easy, Duro. We got the lawyer with the best commercial in town.
We'd better...
What's a whoopee suit, Ian?
I have no idea.
Maybe someone can let us know.
Yeah. Evelyn Collins reminds me a bit of Miriam Grasso from the first season of Murder 1.
As you know, haven't seen it.
Not in everything that she says and does, but in her manner. And this scene in particular, she's all business.
Fair enough. Trunk insists that Sledge and Dory assist Ms. Collins, and she leaves.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting the way that Sledge insulted her there about the perfume. It's not very gallant. He's not...
No, that whole scene was fantastically misogynistic.
Yeah, but quite often you'll see in older films and series that even the misogynistic characters still have this sort of veneer of gentlemanliness.
Yeah, well, he
He doesn't bother with that.
No. I liked actually at the end of this scene where she again insisting that our title is Ms. And what does Sledge say?
Yeah, she says that's Ms. Good day, Mr. Hammer. He says that's Mr.
So we're back into the communal police room, and Dory is looking up this Rudy Mednick on the computer.
Yeah.
She tells Sledge that he apparently frequents massage parlours.
It's a great wee exchange.
Yeah, Sledge is quite dismayed because...
He thinks it's going to take years to find them. There's over 1,000 of them.
Yeah, but Dory explains that it actually is for just a massage.
What I want to know is, what did it say on her computer that told her that?
Who knows? Wonder if they had pictures.
Or maybe muscle injuries. Yeah, and Hammer says that of the thousands of massage parlours, there's only 3 that actually do massage.
So they head over to a roboratorium.
Yeah, and there's this ridiculous sort of set play skit with an upside down woman.
Yeah, she's the manageress of the place, and she's on this machine, this upside down thing. And Hammer has to bend over to provide and show his ID.
Yeah, he not only has to turn his ID upside down, he has to kind of lean round so that she can pair him up with the picture.
Yeah, she thinks he's cute.
She says so.
And tells him that Rudy is in the steam room. Now, they go to head directly in there, and Dory tries to warn Hammer about the effects of steam on...
I like this. This was really good. She warns Hammer against them going in with their clothes on, and then immediately kind of draws back as if to say that, I'm not saying we should take our clothes off.
Yeah.
It's all implied. She doesn't go through the whole conversation.
Yeah.
He says that she should stop nagging him. It's only steam, and they go in.
Sledge tells Rudy that he is the next victim on this vigilante list. And when he asks why he would be next, Sledge suggests that they couldn't find Pee Wee Herman.
Yes.
This is interesting because Pee Wee Herman's had a number of fairly high-profile incidents or interactions with the law. However, I think the first one would have been in 1991. So this predates any actual legal issues.
This is just a joke then.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd been understandable the type of character that he plays, that a lot of people would maybe have found him quite unsettling.
Okay.
A lot of people would not have taken to that type of character and may have found him, and that's his act. He is a bit of an oddball. So, yeah, I don't think it was any suggestion that anything unseemly was happening, just that he was an odd character.
Yeah. I grew up having nightmares for years about a scene from one of his movies that I didn't even realise was one of his movies until recently.
Yeah, you mentioned it, I guessed what it was straight away.
Yeah, without even the context.
Yep. Large Marge.
That was it.
Yeah.
So if anyone goes and looks up the scene with Large Marge, they'll understand what haunted my dreams from the ages of about 10 to...
Yeah, I think it's very common, actually, that scene, especially, I suppose, in the States.
Yeah, it's quite graphic for young children.
It's not just the graphic nature of it, it's the
shock.
It's a shock, yeah. It's a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
I don't remember it, but...
You should watch that again, it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay. Just as Sledge is making a bit of progress, he gets a message over I think it's over an intercom system
Yeah,
of some
the PA
kind.
system.
Yeah. He and Dory are called back to the front desk to take a phone call.
But whilst away, two of these vigilante cops enter the steam room and they revoke Rudy's lifetime membership with a bullet.
They don't revoke it, they say it's expired because his lifetime's finished. Meanwhile, Hammer is commenting on Dodo's outfit once again.
Yeah, we heard that at the top of the podcast.
We did.
I remember as a young lad watching this and being quite taken with Dory the Rose shrinking uniform.
One of those ones that's stuck in the memory.
Oh, certainly.
So where is it you think he wants her to pin her badge?
The sole of her foot.
Ow. There's nobody on the phone.
No. So Hammer goes back into the steam room and finds Rudy dying.
Yeah, he doesn't let Dory come in. That was the comment about the badge. Mm-hmm. And Mednick can't say what's happened, so he's trying to use gesture.
Yeah, like a game of charades.
And Hammer's very frustrated. He can't do charades.
No, he's terrible at it. It's actually quite a funny scene, I think.
I quite enjoyed that. Yeah. And the other weird thing was he'd been shot in the chest twice and had no wounds. There's that network interfering again. But he dies.
He does, sadly. Back to Trunk's office. And they explain to him what has happened. I think Rowe insists that there must be some sort of inside information. Only certain people knew that they were going to speak to him.
Yeah, and Trunk sends her off to look into that while he speaks privately to Hammer.
Hammer, you have properly identified these as police issues. That tells you the vigilantes are what?
Cops! They're two cops! Two cops! That's what Mednick was trying to tell me. Now listen, I'm terrible at charades, all right? But in my defense, he was a terrible mime. I mean, he was with two, VV.
Hammer, these dirty cops are acting as judge, jury, and executioner.
But they're putting in for a lot of overtime.
Hammer, I want you to infiltrate this group. We'll use Doro as a selling point. Now, if she believes you've gone bad, gotten worse, I believe those vigilantes will enlist you in no time.
Why don't we start a fight? I mean, stage it, you know? I mean, really, we'll come to blows. Here. Right in front of everybody.
That's not a bad idea. Why don't I like it?
I wonder if it's just because it's come from Hammer that he's concerned.
I'd say so, yeah. I don't think he trusts Hammer.
But he's wrong. Hammer does a very good job.
Well, he's right, isn't he?
He does get punched in the face a wee bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he's thinking back to the episode when his life was in threat and Hammer beat him up in a cupboard when trying to protect him.
Yeah, I think that will be to the front of his mind. So they have this staged fight in front of everyone, and it ends up with Sledge punching him across a desk. Dory decries him as being no better than the Vigilantes.
Going back a little bit, did you like Hammer's technique for identifying the bullets?
He bit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Trunk had a shot.
It went off in his mouth. It was like something out of one of those sort of comics where they end up with his hair sticking up and
Yeah.
suit in his face.
Yeah, like an exploding cigar or something. Like
Yeah.
That, yeah. Dory storms out, and as she does, we see two of the Vigilantes look on approvingly.
Yeah, they're standing literally feet from other cops saying, yes, we'll recruit him to our vigilante gang.
It's later back in Trunk's office.
I think it's the next day.
Is it?
Because Sledge talks about he got a note that night, the previous night.
Ah, yes, sure. Trunk complains that Hammer was meant to pull the punch, and Hammer insists he did.
Yeah, otherwise he would have knocked him into next week.
He then produces this note that was left from at home. Did you like this?
Yes. It's so stupid.
Can you remember what it said?
I can't remember. I said it said from the Vigilantes.
It says, Sledgehammer, we like you. Best wishes, the Vigilantes. Sledge wants to keep up the fight act, but Trunk tells him to infiltrate the group and get the names of the other members.
Yeah.
Where do we go?
Hammer heads home, and the Vigilantes are waiting for him. I like the way that they got in.
They told his landlady they were there to beat him up.
Yeah.
And they invite him to join a clandestine group whose membership's aims is to right the wrongs through force and aggression.
He says, I'm already a registered Republican.
That was brilliant.
I'm not sure they're into righting wrongs.
It depends what they consider wrongs.
Yeah. Sledge has one thing he needs to check before he's prepared to go with them.
What's that?
He wants to make sure they have not touched his casserole.
You don't touch another man's casserole.
Oh, it's just one of the rules.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he has to attend this meeting and they blindfold him. And
his comment is just wrong.
Well, we talked about misogyny, didn't we?
Yeah.
What does he say?
I haven't worn one of these since I dated a girl who was into Weight Watchers.
Fair enough.
Really suggesting, yeah, he was so disgusted by her overweight appearance.
Exactly. I think that's precisely what he was suggesting. So we head over to the Vigilante headquarters and he's brought in still blindfolded and he tells them that his other senses have been heightened. He then demonstrates this quite terribly.
Yes, he tells the man next to him that he's a Caucasian woman of about 20 years old.
And is that accurate?
No, it's every single part of it's wrong.
That was a line that was, I think, either... Now, what movie? It's Without a Clue, I think. It's a Michael Caine parody of Sherlock Holmes.
Right. He tries to use his deductive skills and gets all the facts completely wrong.
Yes.
Before the blindfold will be removed, Hammer has an interrogation to pass.
What do you think about reading a suspect his rights?
I prefer to read him his last rites, if you know what I mean.
What do you think about the death penalty?
It's too lenient. There's always the possibility of reincarnation. Hey, this is fun. Can we go on to the lightning round?
The question period is over, Inspector Hammer.
Oh, good. Then I choose Bachelor number 2 because he sounded like it was more fun.
Shut up. It's time for your initiation. You've been given the privilege of killing District Attorney Evelyn Collins. She's been speaking out against our cause and needs to be silenced.
Can't you just shush her?
It's all planned. She's working late tonight. You're to terminate her with extreme prejudice. Do you have any reservations about shooting a woman?
You have to make reservations? Why don't I just...
Escort him out of here, will you?
Thank you. I will escort myself out. I've memorized the location of every object in this room. I can retrace my steps perfectly.
That doesn't end well.
It doesn't. I loved that entire scene. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Reminds me so much of Chevy Chase.
Right.
Being, when in a sticky situation, he just gives them lots of cheek.
Yeah. Well, it's one of these ones that he's able to be ridiculous, whilst also answering honestly the questions that they're asking him.
So how does that scene actually end?
He walks through a sheet of glass on his way,
So he heads over to the DA's office,
where he's been told she's working late.
He tells her what he has learned and why he is there. She has some news of her own.
She is in fact the head of the Vigilante gang, and he has passed the test by being prepared to shoot her.
He is one of them now.
She's wearing a bulletproof vest as a precaution. It's figure flattering.
Yeah. He reveals how he knew that she was involved. Now, this didn't make sense to me, because the whole point is, to pass the test, he is willing to shoot the DA.
He undermines the whole test by knowing that she's part of it.
Yeah. So he's basically said, yeah, I wasn't going to kill you, I knew you were part of this gang. So therefore, he hasn't passed the test.
I don't know why he would even tell her that.
He shouldn't.
And he shouldn't have blanked his gun.
No.
Anyway, he is invited back to her home because she likes the cut of his jib.
Yeah, things suddenly become quite amorous. And he plays it cool, although he does say something along the lines of, if you play your cards right, you'll get to see my appendix scar.
Yeah.
He knows what the ladies like. They think he's
Appendix
cute.
scars.
They dance.
They do, at her house, yes.
And he admires her arsenal and seems impressed with her love of violence and weapons.
She explains to him that she can be as nihilistic as a man. She's into the NRA, not the ERA.
Yeah.
What does she mean by ERA?
I'm not sure. I would guess it's something to do with the environment, but why don't we put it out there?
Yeah, see if anyone can let us know what ERA in this... I'm assuming it's not the baseball pitching statistic.
No, probably not. So she decides to slip into something a little bit more comfortable.
There's a wee funny exchange just before she does, though. There's a deer's head on the wall, and she says that it was killed by her father. And Sledge asks, was he a hunter? She says, no, he's a bad driver.
So as she goes upstairs to change, Sledge starts to search the place. Even the fishbowl.
Yeah, he pours the fish and the water onto the floor, I think. He's not very subtle about the whole thing.
No. She beckons him upstairs, and he finds her by a pool, an upstairs pool.
Again, before we went up the stairs, there's another quick line. He pulls out his gun, and he says, it looks like you and me are the only sane ones here.
Yeah, that says something, doesn't it? But even Sledge thinks someone's insane.
Yeah, well, he's doing something insane while saying he's the only sane one. Upstairs, she's dressed as Justice. Why? And she asks him how her...
Because she thinks that the vigilante groups are meting out justice.
Right, okay.
Killing the bad guys who are beating the system.
Yeah, she asks him how her body compares to the others he's encountered.
And he quips it. He has to see her with a tag in her toe first.
And she gives him a list of everyone in the vigilante gang.
Yeah, so at this, he thinks his job is done, and he reveals his true motive, which results in a shootout around the house.
Well, he's firing blanks.
Oh, right.
And
That's next week's episode.
She has guns, but she's a lousy shot, so she can't hit him.
No.
And Dory shows up.
Yes. However, the vigilantes also appear. They disarm Dory.
Yeah, well, Dory's just finished explaining that she didn't buy the bad acting, so she's been following Hammer the whole time. And then the vigilantes show up and Hammer says to them, how do you guys keep showing up like this? Do you beam down or something? Were any of them Star Trek extras? I guess we'll find out in the trivia section.
You can guess if you want. However, Trunk arrives on the scene and Sledge is fairly triumphant.
Nobody move! I'm prepared to shoot everyone in this room except Doro.
You see, Collins? Your wild, feminine emotionalism is no match for the cool mental resources of the average male. Do you see that now? Captain Trunk, would you please tell Ms. Swimsuit here just exactly how you managed to untangle that web of assorted clues that led you to this house?
I live next door. I heard all the shooting and I ran over here to see what the hell was going on. Well. Ms. Collins, is there anything you'd like to get before we book you?
There is one last thing.
Okay, come on, lady.
That's
Let's
it.
go. Move it out. Get in the car, move her down. Come on. Get going.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just sad. It's really sad.
Yeah. She ruined a promising career.
No, she was the best first date I ever had.
It did sound a bit like they borrowed the music from Red Shoe Diaries until the end of that scene there.
We head back to the precinct for this week's epilogue.
Bit more dramatic than the standard epilogue.
Firstly, Trunk reports that Ms. Collins got out on a technicality, or got off on a technicality.
Yeah.
and had ranted and raved about him all through the trial.
And Sledge explains it's hard to get over a man like him.
He then hears her voice call his name and turns round to see that she is in the precinct.
Yep, she's burst in and she's got a gun.
What does she do?
Well, she says that if she can't have him, nobody can. She's going to shoot him and starts firing as Trunk and Duro duck for cover.
Yeah, she fires off several shots. How many hit Sledge?
Well, none. He knows she's a lousy shot. He just stands there and lets her miss. And she's then overwhelmed by the police and taken away. And she's yelling again, you know, I'll get you for what you did to me. I'll get you, Hammer. And he says, see what I mean?
And there we have the end of the episode. So I think we both agree, top-notch episode.
Very good episode. Did you have a favourite line?
Yes, it's the clandestine group whose membership aims. It's a Republican, yeah.
I think mine's when Trunk comes in and says he's prepared to shoot everyone except Duro, essentially, including Hammer.
Yeah. Because again, it's Hammer's response.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we shall head over to do some trivia.
Trivial matters.
Production information first, 22nd of November 1986.
Getting near Christmas.
Chuck Braverman, director. This is his second of 6. And Jim Fisher and Jim Stahl were the writers. This is their second of 2. So we've discussed all 3 before. Guest stars. Janice Lind played DA Ms. Evelyn Collins. She was born in 1948. Has been in The Odd Couple, Quincy, 6 Feet Under, A Diary of a Single Mom, and she was a voice in Star Trek Hidden Evil video game. Have you played that?
No.
Mark Ralston played Officer Braddock, born in 1956. He has been in The Shawshank Redemption, The Departed, Aliens, Young Justice, the Saw movies Part 4 and 5. He's been in 24, The Shield, Murder, She Wrote, Lethal Weapon 2 and a RoboCop.
I'm pretty sure he was the blonde one.
I think so.
He was quite recognisable. I could see him from something else.
He's also been in Star Trek Enterprise and Next Generation.
Possibly those.
David Leisure played Officer Jackson. He was born in 1950. This is his first of 2 Sledgehammer episodes, and he has been in Days of Our Lives, The Young and the Restless, Empty Nest, T.J. Hooker, and the Aeroplane movies 1 and 2. Jay Razumney played Rudy Mednick. Forget Paris, Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. Now, that's a great Canon movie.
Right.
There's a documentary about the Canon film group with a very similar name. In fact, I think it might be the same name. It's worth a watch.
This was the guy that got shot in the steam room.
Yes. Ninja 3, The Domination, he was also in that, another Canon classic. And he was uncredited in Serpico, Death Wish, and The Godfather Part 2. As discussed, the whole episode was a parody of Magnum Force from 1973, which starred, well, obviously Clint Eastwood, but Hal Holbrook, I think, and David Soul, who played Hutch in Starsky and Hutch.
Right. Were there many of these movies in the Dirty Harry Magnum Force?
Dirty Harry character?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 5.
Right, so there's more potential for parody to come.
Next week we've got If I Had a Little Hammer.
You'd hammer in the morning.
Do you have a little hammer, Ian?
Somewhere, yeah, I got it from IKEA.
Okay.
We should probably go over the usual rigmarole about ratings, reviews, comments and so on. Helps the show a lot if you can rate and reviews on iTunes, because that's where most people find their podcasts. Even if you don't listen to it that way, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute or 2 at your day to do that. If you want to speak to us or other listeners, you can use sledgehammerpodcast.com, where there's a comment section for every episode. Also on Facebook and Twitter, we're at Sledgecast. And I think that's us for this week, so
I think so.
cheerio everyone.
Bye bye.